My 365 Podcasts with me, Pete Cohen. Today, I want to talk to you about self-talk. It is a fascinating area, and it's one of the things that I'm so interested in when I meet people is, what is the experience like of being you? Because let's face it, we all talk to ourselves. And I believe that there are a number of different types of self-talk, and that's what I want to share with you today. You see, My 365 is all about helping everyday people achieve the things that they want to achieve in their life. Now, success in all areas leaves clues. If someone is really good at something, they didn't just wake up one morning and find their success. In many cases, it took work. It took dedication, but it took self-talk. And there are many different things that we could all say to ourselves. I mean, listen, right now, you could be saying something to yourself. You could be saying, what is this guy on? What am I doing? Did I leave the gas on? We are all having conversations with ourselves all the time. Now, where did this start? Well, by the way, it's estimated that humans have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts in one day. Can you believe that? That's a lot of thoughts. Now, if you were to write down every single thought that you had, and it was written down in a book, it would take a long time to read. But just imagine if someone else could read your thoughts. Often we think, oh my God, that person's reading my thoughts. Oh, they're reading my thoughts. No, but if they could really read every single thing that you said to yourself, what patterns would they see? What would you see in me? What would you see in yourself? You see, most of us have never been taught to become aware of the dialogue that we're having with ourselves. And I believe that there are maybe 4 or 5 levels of self-talk. So level 1 is where most people live. I believe that human beings are like sheep. And listen, this is something you could write down. In life, it's a good idea to observe what the masses are doing and then do the opposite. Many of the masses, they do not achieve what they want to achieve in their life. Many people are unhappy. They're not achieving the things where they want to be slimmer, fitter, healthier, where they want to write that book. Someone said to me recently, what is the most expensive land in the world? And I went, the most expensive land. And I was thinking, maybe it's somewhere where there's oil or gold or diamonds. And he didn't wait for my answer. He goes, it's the graveyard. I went, what? He said, yeah, it's the graveyard. He said, in the graveyard, it's full of people who had hopes and dreams and aspirations and things they wanted to do, but they never did. It's the most expensive land in the graveyard, the most expensive land in the world. And how does that relate to us? Well, if we're not careful, many of the hopes and dreams that we have, we will never manifest them. And if we break it down, where does it all start? Well, in many cases, it starts by, what are you saying to yourself? And most people are saying to themselves things like, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. They won't like me. I don't have what it takes. Why me? It always happens to me. This is what a lot of people say to themselves. That's where a lot of people live. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And maybe that's how you want to talk to yourself. But if you have goals, dreams, and aspirations of things you want to achieve in your life, it's very, very, very unlikely that you're going to get there. When we release the podcast, and maybe by the time you hear this, you'll be able to hear the podcast we did with Richard McCann. And this guy had a pretty challenging life. Of all the people I've met, he's definitely had a life that if many people have had experienced what he'd experienced, he probably would have made some very, very different choices in his life. His mother was the first person to be murdered by a serial killer. He was 6 years old, a serial killer in the UK. And you can imagine his life would have gone hugely off the rails, but his self-talk was very, very powerful. And he had, which we'll look at in a minute, he definitely did, the why me, why is this happening to me, I'm not good enough. But he also had another level, which we'll look at in a minute, that you could see probably saved his life and gave him the life that he has now, where he's now helping thousands and thousands, millions of people all over the world by sharing his story. And that's a key part of My 365 is, listen, you've got a story to tell. I've got a story to tell. How many of you believe you could create a better story moving forwards? You see, if you believe that and if you want that to happen, then you've got to do something different. Because if you don't do something different, where you'll be next year is probably very similar to where you are right now. And all I ask you to do is to become more aware of the messages that you're giving yourself. Please don't be hard on yourself about this. That doesn't help at all. That's like level 1 self-talk. It's just to become more aware. Where did this come from? Where did we learn to be so negative? Well, just look around you. We kind of live in a world that says, well, hey, listen, you're not good enough. There's like whispering. You're not good enough. You need to go and buy an iPhone, or you need to buy a new pair of shoes. And we kind of live in a world that is giving us these messages. So most people don't feel great about themselves. I mean, they do when they're very young, or many of us that have elevated our thinking to realize, hey, we do make a difference. We are unique. We have what it takes. But that means we have to observe the masses and then do the opposite. I would really encourage you to write that down. Success leaves clues. And when you find people that have created the life that they want, you'll realize that in many cases, it's their self-talk. So level 1 is that I can never do this. I'm not good enough. I haven't got what it takes. Level 2, and look, what's a really good idea? Imagine dialing into a phone call where you could hear the conversation that you have with yourself. Some of you might be quite alarmed to realize the messages that you're giving yourself. And if you tell someone things enough, they will start to believe it. But the great thing is we can reprogram our mind. It's what we call the neuroplasticity of our brain, the fact that our brain has the ability to grow. So then when you have level 2 is, I really need to change. Or how many times in your life have you ever said, I really need to lose weight. I really have to. I really should. I really could. I really ought to. I might. I'll try. That's where a lot of people live their life constantly. I need to. I should do. And that can get people to act, but the act is often never sustained. This is where we're recognizing the situation as a problem, not as a solution. Does that make sense? And it's important to recognize and look around and see how many other people use words like that. I really should, I could, I might, I ought to, I'll try. And then we have the third level, which is where people go, that's it, no more. I've met countless people. I remember someone who I used to work with who used to smoke a lot. And it got so bad that one day the doctor just basically said, listen, I am extremely concerned about you. And I really think that if you don't do something about this, something really bad is going to happen to you. And then this person came to see me afterwards, and I'll never forget, she went, that is it. No more. I am never, ever, ever doing this again. And she stopped. Amazing, hey? And I remember saying to her, was it difficult? She went, no, she just made that decision. Now, we can all do that. So that's it. And unfortunately, that desire is only woken up in most people through extreme circumstances. I can't take this anymore. They see a picture of themselves and realize how much weight they've put on. Or their relationship just gets to the point where they just think, you can't take this anymore. And then they change. Does that make sense? That's the third level. Now, the fourth level, right, is much, much, much more powerful. I know this is not going to surprise many of you, but it's positive self-talk. It's when you tell yourself, I can do this. I have what it takes. I am the answer. I will do this. There's statements that are a lot around I am in control of my life. I am a winner. I am healthy, energetic, enthusiastic. I'm going to go for it. When you observe success, and I've been very fortunate to work with some of the most successful people in the world, coaching them, you'll realize that a lot of them have very, very powerful conversations with themselves. One of our most famous athletes in the UK, a lady called Sally Gunnell, in 1992, and in 1993 when she broke the world record, you can see this on Google, you can see the conversation that she was having with herself. She was battling herself, actually. She had a cold. One of the most important races of her whole life. But the conversation she was having with herself is, I can do this, I'm in control. This level inspires us, encourages us, and it really implies that we are the person who is running our life. Most people don't want to accept the fact that there are simple answers to most of our everyday problems. But self-talk is where it's all at. You see, let's just recap. Level 1, I can't do this. I don't have what it takes. Just become more aware if you're saying things like that to yourself. Level 2 is when you go, I really need to, I should, I might, I ought to, I could, I'll try. Level 3 is when that's it, no more. I've had it. Enough is enough. Level 4 is when you're saying, I can do this, I'm in control, I have what it takes, I'm healthy, I'm energetic. And I would encourage you to start writing down some of those statements and saying them to yourself. Now, I know it might seem a bit uncomfortable, or listen, in life, anything in life you want to achieve, if it's worth doing, it's probably going to be a little bit challenging. And one of my good friends who we've done a couple of podcasts with, Dr. Rakowski, one of the top nutritionists in the world, one of the things he talks about is, look, the first 10 times you do anything that you wouldn't normally do, it's going to feel unbearable. The next 10, it's uncomfortable. And then the third 10, you become unstoppable. I remember there was a boxer called Marvin Hagler, and he used to box, and his self-talk was mean getting meaner, mean getting meaner, mean getting meaner. And he'd skip for hours saying that, mean getting meaner. And I know you probably know this, but when you get in the ring, guess what you need to be? Mean. You have to put yourself in a space where you back yourself. And my challenge to all of you all over the world that are listening to this is, it's time for you to back yourself. Now, level 5 thinking is where you really start to believe that you're connected. When people say things like things happen for a reason, what is the learning from this? We are all connected. Not everyone has beliefs like this, but going back to the example of Richard McCann, he, going through this horrible experience of his mum being murdered, he also had this level of thinking, which is, there must be a learning from this. This must be happening to me for a reason. Now, of course, everyone has it's like putting on a new pair of clothes or a new pair of shoes. It can feel not quite right, but if you practice this stuff, my friends, you can do great things. So as we start to wrap up this podcast for today, please listen to our other podcasts and see what can you learn from other people's story. I would love to see you create the life that you want, because I believe you do have what it takes to be slimmer, fitter, healthier, financially free, whatever it is, to break the habits that have been holding you back, to write that book. If you want to achieve any of those things, what you've done is probably not going to be what you've done in the past isn't probably going to get you to where it is that you want to go. But what's the one thing that you can control? It's what you say to yourself. So come on, let's make a real commitment to changing our inner dialogue and come from a place of number 4, where you back yourself, you tell yourself, you give yourself positive messages. And you know what? If you do this, your future could be amazing. It's such a simple concept, but it needs, just like anything, it needs to be practiced. Not just once, not just twice, but every single day. Make sure you check us out with our daily coaching on Facebook, Monday to Friday. I'm there for everyone all over the world, helping you my 365 your life. Take care, take action, and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and if you want more free inspiration to optimize your life so you can achieve your goals in all the different areas of your life, then visit my365.me. That's mi365.me and sign up to 365 days of free coaching with me, Pete Cohen. Thanks for listening and have an awesome day.